Hi, good day. My name is Chichi. I am a health coach, a disability advocate, a lawyer, an author, mother of 4 grown men, wife to my husband of over 30 years, and I run the Enabled Life organization. I am here to share some of my stories, and my intention is to encourage you that you can be the best that you set your mind to. Why do I say so? I was born in Nigeria in the late 1960s, and at the time that I was born, there was a war going on in the eastern part of Nigeria. I was born severely premature at about 27 months of gestation, and at that time I was definitely prone to have health challenges. I was born with cerebral palsy. At the time that I started taking my first few steps, my mother realized that there was something terribly wrong with me. So she started her journey to looking for a way to improve, my life and my chances at that time. It was a very difficult journey. Most of them I share in my stories. But what I want to focus on today are the stories that have helped me be the person that I am today. At a time that people with disability in Africa were told that they could not live full lives, that they did not have any chances. I am here to tell you that no matter your circumstances, you can accomplish whatever you set your mind to. I know it is difficult. I know that sometimes it seems very impossible. At the time that I was a little girl, if anyone had told me that this would be my story, almost 60 years, or let's just say 55 years later, I would have said they were lying. But today, we are here. If I can do it, you can. I don't know what your challenges are. I don't know what is stopping you. I do not know if you have any actual physical challenges stopping you, or you have mental challenges, or you even have environmental challenges or geographical challenges that could be hindering you from accomplishing the things that you have in mind. I want to use my stories today to encourage you to keep pressing on, to let you know that you can. So one of the stories that I want to share with you, and I'm going to share several as we go on. One of the stories that I want to share with you is the story of an incident that happened when I was a little girl. So when I was a little girl, I lived in my own world. All I knew was that I had a limp, and I didn't know that anyway. I knew that people stared at me when I walked on the streets of the town that I grew up in, which was in eastern part of Nigeria. Today it's in the southeastern part of Nigeria. So, and that was a town called Aba. Whenever I walked the streets of Aba, people stopped and they would look at me and say, "Oh, what a beauty. What happened to her? Oh no." I found that very upsetting, because without those little incidents, I didn't really know there was anything wrong with me. I was just doing my best to live my life. It wasn't that people around my family home did not let me know that there was something wrong with me, but it didn't last long, because I could do practically anything that any other person could do. So this story that I want to share with you is about when I was a little girl, and anybody that had any disability was usually went to the church or to the pastors to get their healing. In those times, it was very difficult to find common sense medical explanation of what the case may be in any situation. So most situations were blamed on superstition, and people would think there was something other than natural happening to you, or something that was not medical happening to you. In my case, it was medically related. I was born with cerebral palsy. Being born at 27 months of gestation, that was bound to happen. So being born with cerebral palsy, my mother started noticing there was something wrong with me when I got to the age of about 9 months, and I would work on a sort of tiptoe. She kept trying to discouraged me from doing that. She kept correcting me, and I just wasn't capable of doing that. She didn't realize it was medically inclined. She thought it was some behavioral thing. She will always spank me or correct me or deny me certain favors with the hope of forcing me to do the right thing. I do not blame her. Her knowledge was limited at the time. Nobody can blame her. She was just doing the best that she had the knowledge to do. So at this time, practically anybody with any form of orthopedic issue would be taken to a local bone mender, sometimes taken to a church, for prayers and all. My mom didn't really take me to church, to a church or to a religious organization to get my healing. I was the one that forced my mother to take me to like a crusade with the aim of getting my healing. So at that time, I was in our living room in Aba, and kind of will I say, an advertisement came on, and it was talking about this American pastor, this American evangelist that was headed to my town, and they were saying, bring your blind, bring your deaf and dumb, I'm sorry, I hate using those words, and then bring your lame, they will walk, they will see, they will hear, they will talk. I sat in that living room and started imagining, maybe I am one of these things. Maybe that's why people on the street look at me and stare. But probably I belong to one of those words. I was quite smart growing up, so I asked myself, I am not deaf, I'm not dumb, I'm not blind. But it looks like that word lame, it looks like it suits me. And I found that very intriguing, but I was like, I needed my healing anyway. So I needed people to stop looking at me. I didn't really know what I was looking for that healing for. All that was important to me was that I hated the stairs walking down the street. I wanted something that could be done to stop that from happening. I also hated the fact that I had heard people occasionally refer to me in Nigeria of those days as being unwell. So I walked out of my living room in search of my mother. If you know my mother, she doesn't joke. She has no time for rubbish. She has no time for child's play. And she thought I always looked for trouble one way or the other. Yes, because I always fought for my right. And my mother didn't think that was very proper for a child my age. She just felt sometimes I should just let things slide. For me, I knew that from a very early age, I understood that it was an unfair world. And I understood that the only way that people like me were going to be given the chances to live was to fight for it. I often heard people refer to me as sick, as being sick, or as not being well, or having a bad, like all words that came to me as being negative. Sometimes they use that terrible word, crippled, and that was even the most annoying, because from reading the Bible, I felt that most people that were crippled could not even take a step. But I didn't think that any human being should be addressed with such unkind words. So anyway, I deviate. I go back to my story. So I leave my living room, my then living room, and I go in search of my mother. I found her somewhere downstairs, and I said to her, Mama, there's a man on TV that says he can make my legs better. My mom paused for a moment, looked at me, and she said, where is he? Where is it? And I said, upstairs, in the TV, upstairs. and my mother silently followed me. I was surprised. I didn't expect Mama to follow me, follow Chinwe up the steps. No, I did not expect, but she followed me. I kind of think that she needed that healing also more than I did. So she followed me up the steps, and we got to the living room, and we both sat down in silence. Of course, the advert was no longer on, but I knew that it will be on in no time. My greatest prayer was hoping that Mama would sit and wait for it to come again. So not too long after that, it comes up again. And I asked Mama, can we go please? And she said, yes. So when she said yes, I was happy. So on the day of the crusade, she dressed me up impeccably in my socks and shoes and pretty little girl's dress that we used to wear in the 60s and 70s, so, and we drove to the Abba Stadium where the event was going on. So when we got there were like thousands of people. I recognized some of our neighbors because at that time, several of our neighbors also had children with one form of disability or the other. It was so sad. At that time, almost every family had one child living with one form of disability or the other. And they all were maligned in the way that they were being treated. And they were all, and of course, all the parents sought some kind of healing for them. So I noticed some of our neighbors, but I was focused on my own healing. Anyway, I just had to get this incident behind me, and I needed to move on with my beautiful life. I will tell you why I needed to do that. Before that time, I saw myself as a model. I saw myself as a beauty. I always saw myself on a stage, and I would, in my own private world, I always had daydreams. I always had dreams of being this model, this beauty, somebody's wife, somebody's mother. I had dreams of my own children, girls and boys were in my dream. It's so funny that today we have all boys. So I had dreams of being a lawyer at the age of 5. Before the age of 5, I had dreams of being a lawyer. I had dreams of being married to a lawyer or a doctor. And I would actually conjure, what my future husband would look like and what my children would look like. So are these daydreams meant to be replicated exactly as they appeared in my dreams? No, they were not. They were just meant to propel me to keep being on track, to keep working towards those goals, believing that they were possible, believing that I could accomplish those dreams, no matter how difficult they seemed at that time for a person like me. So going back to the crusade ground, so as we got to the crusade ground, there was a lot of noise. There were people singing, chanting. Shortly after the crusade starts, the evangelist from the United States at that time walks up the stage and he begins to do his ministration and starts his healing. I was just in my private world waiting and saying, hurry up and do what you have to do so that I will be like any other little girl. And in the course of his prayer, surprisingly, he pointed to where my mother and I were standing and he said, there's a little girl over here that has something wrong with her legs. Bring her up. Oh my goodness. Before I knew what was happening, my mother had grabbed me and was running towards the evangelist. She ran to the stage and the evangelist started his ministration. As he was praying for me, I was in my own little world thinking, hurry up. Evangelist, you do not know what I will do after today. I have a world waiting to be ruled by me. So I need you to hurry up with this healing session. As he was praying for me, I could see my mother. She had been caught by the bug. She was wringing her hand and screaming, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. After the prayers, this evangelist tells me, okay, now you need to walk up and down the podium. And I start doing this catwalk in my mind, up and down the podium. Everybody in the field was clapping. They were screaming. I could see my mother from the corner of my eyes. She was screaming, hallelujah, hallelujah, jumping up, jumping up, jumping up, believing, jumping. And after my little walk, I come back to the pastor. He says his final prayers, putting, a finality on the healing session. At that point, I just, walk back to the field with my mother, believing that I had been healed. On the drive back, that should have surprised me anyway. That should have let me know something was wrong. On our drive back, my mother was very quiet. I was very quiet too. I didn't want to get in my mother's trouble, but I was quiet, thinking of all the things that I had been denied of doing from the time that I was a little girl to that moment, and imagining what I was now going to be able to do in this new world of mine. So when we go home, mother just goes about her own business and I go about mine. I will climb on a very high spot in my family home and I will jump, now trying to reassure myself that the healing had actually taken place. I kept doing this, and every time I would come in before my siblings and ask them, oh, my legs are good now, right? And they would just look at me and shakily say yes. I didn't see anything in the way that they were reacting to me because I thought they were just affirming what I already knew. But one day, guess what? One day, I made one of my brothers upset, and he said to me, I don't even know what is wrong with you. Your leg is still bad. You keep asking us if your leg is good or if your leg is different, and we keep lying to you. Your leg is still bad. I said, what did you say? What did you say? Say that again. Take it back. He said, I'm not going to take it back. I'm telling you the truth. Your leg is still bad. And I held him by his collar, just like I tied this collar some minutes ago. I held him by his collar and jacked him up. And I said, you need to tell me that you are lying. You need to tell me that you said what you just said in malice. And he said, no. I told you the truth, that nobody will have the guts to tell you. I told you the truth. And after some time, when I could tell he was telling the truth, I just put him down and I thought, oh my goodness, they lied to me. They lied to me. The evangelist lied to me. Everyone lied to me that day. The thousands of people on that field lied to me that day. Why did they have to lie? Why did they have to lie in the name of God? And that discouraged my whole experience, spiritually and everything. But I kept dreaming. I kept having those daydreams. I actually believed my dreams more than I believed the words of that evangelist. But the good thing about my whole experience is that I don't realize that I have a disability until somebody else tells me. So it doesn't really stop me or limit me from pursuing my dreams. Most of my limitations came from the world around me. It came from when people around me tell me that I cannot. So I started my journey to adulthood with that disappointment. By the time I got into secondary school, I was already very sort of disillusioned. And I remember it was while I was in secondary school, trying to make sense of the way things were happening around me, of the discrimination that I sensed around me, why sometimes my classmates would not want to play with me for fear of me falling or hurting myself. Because at Nigeria of that time, you don't see people with my level of disability go to boarding school or try to do anything that was strenuous. Most of them were hidden behind closed doors anyway. They did not leave their family homes. But in my case, I was not just able to leave my family home, I was attempting to rule the world that I walked in. I was attempting to do the things that other people were doing. And it was quite unsettling for a lot of people that met me at that time. It is still very unsettling for people when they meet me that I could want to live life the way that I live it. So what am I trying to say to you? Why is this story so important to the message that I'm trying to pass on to you? Nobody can make the rules about you in life but you. You are the only one that can decide where you belong, what you can do and what you cannot do. Every other person will try to put you in their own box. They have a right to that. You have a right too. You're not going to deny them that ability. Is their prerogative. But you have a right to decide how that decision will affect you. Will what they say to you make you not go on with your dreams? No. You know your dreams. They are all in there, in your head, in your mind. You are the only one that can stop you. Nobody can stop you. So at the time I got to secondary school and realized in that bigger world that people had a right to their decision and that I was not going to force them to embrace me or accept me the way that I wanted them to, because they had their prerogative and I had mine too. At that time I had people that I did not instantly accept. That was my prerogative. There was nothing wrong with me. I wasn't being mean to them. It was just that we all have our prerogative and we have our rights. We all have our beliefs, and it takes us time to break those beliefs. So in my own case, I didn't want to socialize at that time because I was already disillusioned with that whole evangelist and crusade experience. I just felt, okay, this is my plight right now. There's no healing coming. There's no God going to heal me suddenly. Miracles do not really exist. But what I didn't realize at that time was that there are miracles. We just have to work on them. Miracles don't come freely, not all the time though, but sometimes a miracle will need you doing some action. And sometimes you have to get some, soil, you have to spit in it, you have to roll it, you have to apply it to your eye. So literally, that's what that someone was. But in real life, there are things you have to do. Sometimes you have to block your ears. You have to practically block your ears to the noises around you. Because if you hear the noises around you, they will tell you that, no, you cannot. No, this scene is not for you. You're not equipped to be here. You're not equipped to run this race. So at times like that, you have to block your ears and know that you have to be determined to accomplish this goal. You are the only one that can make this decision. There's no point sitting in one place and feeling sorry for yourself, which was what I was attempting to do upon getting to secondary school and finding out that I was not quickly embraced. I didn't blame my schoolmates, actually. I just felt I blamed, my life. I blamed my plight. I just felt it won't work. There's no way these dreams will come true with these chances, with these circumstances that I have. People are not just going to give me the chance, not because they are being mean to me, but because they don't want me to hurt myself. And I don't even know if I can hurt myself. So I think that what made the change for me started in the secondary school. After my first year, I went back home during the holidays, and when my father opened my report card, he read the comments from my teachers. A good student, but keeps to herself. And my father called me to come to his room. At that time, he warned me that he didn't want to read this report about me the next time. He told me that if I didn't go back to school and socialize with other students, that if he gets this result again, he was going to discipline me. I know African parents. At that time, he didn't know what I was going through. He didn't know what my challenges were. He didn't really even understand that cerebral palsy was not just about a limp, that there was more to it. But they didn't care. Today, I'm happy they did not care. I'm happy I got that threat, because that threat scared me. I went back to school the next term, and I was determined to do my best to socialize. In that case, socialization was not easy. It wasn't just me wanting to make friends. Yes, making friends at that time was difficult for me. I didn't want somebody that the next minute they would turn and tell me, oh, look at you with your bad leg. Look at you with your crooked leg. Because that's usually the way that people fight. That's the pattern that people use to fight. They disarm you by bringing out the weakest part about you. So I didn't want that to happen to me. I was very protective of myself, of my image. I'm still very much that way at the moment, though. It's just that I learned how to find a balance to it. So I go back to school with my father's threat on my mind, and I decided that I was going to do my best. I would force myself to where my classmates were, and when they held off on playing with me, I stayed there. I persevered. Eventually, they let me in. And eventually, they found out that it was not that difficult to let me into their groups, that I could play with them easily. I wouldn't get hurt. They didn't have to be extra careful near me. And this is what I also teach the world about living with disability. There's no need blaming every other person. People kind of, exclude you when they are not sure about your condition. They don't really know how much your condition affects you. They are very wary of what they perceive. They don't know exactly your limits and your strength. So instead of getting upset, you have to be the one to let them in a way that you can teach them what is okay with you and what is a no for you. So I thank my high school classmates, the few that I became very close to at that time, and through playing with them, I was able to see myself from a different angle. I was also able to see the strengths within me. I was introduced into a world different from my family home, and that was how the new me broke out. So getting that liberty, that initial liberty from my secondary school classmates, I just broke up. I now understood what life was about. It was about breaking stereotypes. It was about breaking patterns. It was about breaking beliefs. But you don't do it by being very violent about it. You don't do it by being very aggressive. It's very subtle. It's very personal. You do it on your own, by yourself, one step after the other. There are different kinds of changes anyway. There are times that you actually have to physically advocate, which I do with the enabled life. But at that stage, the kind of advocacy or the sort of change that I needed to bring in was a change in belief. It was more informational and educational, letting them know that it was okay to play with me. letting them know that people like me were not outcasts, that we were human and we had so much to offer. So after that initial experience, one, it gave me more self-esteem. It gave me more self-confidence about what my strengths and my abilities were. It also taught me tolerance as I moved on. But it let me know that everything that I had visualized up to that point was possible. I was the one going to initiate that change. I was the one going to start that solo walk. And how far I would get would depend on me. What my successes will be would depend on me. What I would consider success would depend on me. I had to take my eyes off comparing myself to the world. Because when I compared myself to every other person, all I was going to get was discouragement. So there was no point. Just stay focused and know what you are aiming for. Know where you are headed. That was what I did from that point. So I started trying new things, breaking into new groups, trying to get signed into doing new things, including fashion parades. So in every time I broke into a new arena, there was going to be opposition. Realizing that opposition doesn't mean no. Opposition just means prove to us why you should be included. Is it fair or no? Very unfair, very unfair. In today's world, we can fight that battle in the law courts, But in some places, laws do not work. In Nigeria of those days, there was no law going to protect you. Even if I took those little groups to my school principal or to my school board, they were just going to say, hey, but now, you're not well. You're not well. Don't blame them. People like you should not actually come out of their homes. so the way that I knew I could successfully fight that war at that time was just to stay motivated, welcome the opposition, work hard at training myself so that they do not have good reason to deny me. So I started that journey one step at a time. I remember that fashion parade story. Initially, they objected to me joining the parade. When eventually they agreed that I could join, there was one thing that I was particular about. I wanted them to award the prize to me if I genuinely won that competition. I didn't want them to award the prize to me just to honor me for participating. That would have been very discouraging. I would have felt, oh, they are just trying to patronize me. And I'm glad that that wasn't the reason that I was awarded, that prize. I'm glad that I did a good job. And when I got the prize, I was able to prove to myself that that was a good experience, and that I was glad that I attempted that. After that, I attempted several other things that I was told were out of my league. Sometimes I did very well, sometimes I didn't. As with life, you cannot win all the time. There are times that I didn't do too well. I had to go back to practice. I had to go back to find out what to do. So it's just what life is about. And each time, you have to go back to the drawing board. This drawing board is, you don't make noise about it. You don't form a committee for it. It's you know what you have to do. So each time in my formative years, I went back to the drawing board. And one of the things that helped me was that I was also able to welcome the fact that people had their right to be reserved about my condition and how much they could relate to me. I welcomed it. It didn't hurt me. It, it just made me know that it was going to take a little bit of proving to make them give me that chance. Every step of life, I did that. I continued to do that proving till, I guess, a few years ago. So, but right now, I still continue to prove, even though I say to myself, most of these things have been proven already. It's difficult to stop that. Now, how do you prove? Do you carry a placard and stop everyone to prove to them that you're capable? No. You just prove in your own little corner. Sometimes people like me are not even given the opportunity to come with a placard. So you stay in your own little corner and you just put in your practice, keep doing what you know best. Trust me, you will succeed. Even if you don't totally succeed, you will break it. The next time you can move a step closer, you will break it, So that's what I would suggest. Do not let opposition stop you. Opposition doesn't mean back off. Opposition means prepare your case and come back. That's what it means. In every situation, even in law cases. That's why there are several appeals. Okay? So until you get to the final appeal court, the highest court of the land, you can say it is over for you. You have to keep giving it your best shot. What you can get on each level is different. And even if you get to the highest appellate court, it doesn't mean that it was a total failure. You may find out that what a lower court rejected before was granted. Even though you didn't get complete victory, you may get, you may get victory in one section that a lower court did not give you prior to that appeal. So what am I saying? Each time that I was rejected, and most times as a person with disability, the rejection did not come verbally, outrightly. It came from body language, I am very sensitive with picking up the body language. So each time I felt rejected, I backed off and went and did my planning, went and did a little bit more research, went and did more conditioning, came back, stayed on course, stayed on track with my vision inside. There are times that I ask myself, do I really need this thing that I'm contending for? And if my answer is no, I move on. I pick my fights, actually. I pick my fights. So just know that what you're fighting for, is it going to benefit you? Is it going to help you towards those goals you have in mind? If your answer is yes, for Christ's sake, chin up, keep going, keep trying. You will break through. Breaking through is not complete success. Breaking through means you succeeded one way or the other. So keep going, keep going. That's all I can say to you. So moving on from my secondary school days and how that taught me the lesson that got me to this place. So in secondary school, after that initial time of breaking in with my classmates, learning how to play, learning how to be accepted, also involving myself in school activities, even, when I was very limited in what my capabilities were, I involved myself in things that I knew that I could easily do without being a source of danger to myself or to other people. By the time secondary school, and let me stop here because I forgot to mention something to you. At a point in secondary school, I felt that the only way that I was going to break in further was being a sort of rebel, being a rebel, a sort of rebel. I needed to do that because I had done what I could do as a good girl. I now needed to be some sort of rebel. At that time, I started doing things, breaking little laws, you know. For instance, we're not allowed to wear more than one earring. I will wear more than one set of earrings. I will wear multiple sets of earrings. Sometimes during school days, I will just wear, you know, what we call mufti or colored clothes instead of the normal school uniform, because we had school uniforms. I would just come out on a school day wearing clothes that I was supposed to wear on the weekend. And the matron, everyone would come after me. They did not understand what I was doing at that time. I enjoyed being that rebel at that time, and I enjoyed people seeing me from those set of eyes at that time. I think at that time I was just learning to practice the rebellious side of me. Thank God I didn't do anything that was, you know, dangerous to myself or to other people. But that kind of gave me some sort of notoriety to where I got a little bit of popularity, you know, and other people knew about me. They saw me as a human being. They saw me as someone. If you wouldn't get popular in all the right ways, well, try getting popular at times in something as little as that. So that one worked in my favor. By the time I left secondary school, I knew deep inside me that I could break into any circle. I would not take no. I just didn't feel like barging into other people's groups if it wasn't necessary, if it wasn't going to get me to where I needed to get to. Every stage of my life, I had a target. I knew those daydreams. I stayed focused on them, and I asked myself, every time that I was admitted or rejected in a group, is it necessary? Will it get me to where I'm going? If my answer is no, I don't bother with it. You have to pick your fight. You can't just fight every battle. It's not going to work. You will be drained and you will be discouraged eventually. So that was what I was doing at that stage, was picking my fight, taking what was necessary to get me to the next level, welcoming the welcoming the criticisms, welcoming the rejections, but not letting them affect me more than necessary. They were not very important. I knew who I was, and I stayed focused on the image of myself that I knew, not letting any of their decisions affect me. So by the time I left secondary school, I was very well equipped to go to the rest of the world. I went to university, or what we call college here, knowing myself, and the same attitude. I let people have their own ideas about me, and I gave them time to relearn the new me. Every time you come before someone that is new, they have a right to their own impression. It's not automatic. You're not going to change the world in a day. No, you silently have to re-teach them about yourself. Let them know the real you. With time, they will give you room. And that is what I find most interesting about life. So by the time I got to college, same thing. A lot of people did not know what my capabilities were. Gradually, quietly, over time, they were able to learn. It was a lot easier for me to make friends in secondary school because I had already learned the skills from in college, because I had already acquired the skills from my secondary school. It wasn't as easy during my secondary school years. That was my first experience. I am grateful for those lessons. But as I got to college, it was easier. I had already learned how to, accept the rejection the first time, and how to quietly prove my point to other people and let them know that it's okay. Let them just see what I had to offer on my own without forcing that. Because when you force people to accept you, it just makes you have to also take, their standard of the acceptance. That's one thing that life taught me. Do not force anyone to accept you. Do not force anyone to embrace you. Just do your own part. And if they think in the process of you doing that, that they could, they could benefit from having a friend like you, so be it. It's a great benefit. So you don't have to force it down anyone's throat. You just have to quietly do you. And if one in the process realizes that, oh, this is a great friend, I could learn a lot from this person, or I admire this about this person, oh, wonderful. That would be great. But if they don't, you just keep doing you. You're not affecting anyone. You're not imposing anything on anyone. Even though there are some people that your mere presence just makes uncomfortable. They think you're too arrogant. They don't know your battles. They don't know why you're the way you are. So I just would tell you, stay on your lane. Keep doing you. Keep doing it one step at a time. Keep doing the things that make you feel better. Keep doing the things that keep you focused on your dreams. As long as you do not step on anybody's toes, and as long as you're not forcing anybody to do anything for you, just keep doing what you know best to do on your own lane. Have your own set of goals. Now, as what are those goals? Yeah, and do they have to be anything huge? No, just success is different for each person. For me, at some point, success may be learning how to use my right hand so that my mother does not have to scream at me each time I used my left hand in a traditional family in Africa. So at that time, that was what success meant to me. But success could mean different things to different people. At some point, success meant, if I could have my children, if I could have children. And for me, that was a huge area to measure life successes. For me, at some point, success was also if it was possible to be admitted into mainstream schools in Nigeria. And each of those stages, I welcomed those successes. I did my best there, acquired my best skills there, knowing that bigger opportunities may not come. This may be the closest I could get to those dreams. So whatever stage you are on, do your best. Stay focused. Do your best. Do not let it go further. Just stay there and keep going. That's what I would suggest. I don't know what you have gone through in your own life. I don't know what experiences you have had that have limited you, that have made you worry about what you are capable of doing. I don't know if your challenges are physical, mental. I do not know, psychological. We all have different kinds of challenges. I just wonder what you would want to do knowing those challenges. So, has this helped you in any way? Do you have anything to contribute? If you do, put it in the comments. Leaving secondary school, leaving university, having to move on to Nigerian law school, dealing with so many other things in life, so many places where you've been told you're not good enough. From the way that people look at you the first time you enter a room, it's been an experience in life. Every stage has been an experience for me. But each time, it was staying focused personally, not having to fight for that, recognition, just doing my best. it's actually easier for me to fight for other people because I feel on a personal level I have the ability to prove myself by being in my own corner, doing the best that I can. I fight for people who cannot fight for themselves, who do not have the opportunities that I have to do the things that I am doing. So by the time I left college, headed to Nigerian law school, you can imagine what the new set of challenges were going to be. New set of challenges in a new place, in a place where most people did not come from your part of the country, and having to prove also that you could do this the way that every other person was doing it, because there were not special provisions for people like you at the time. There were no special provisions to get you to your seat or to get you from home to school. And since you decided to go on a journey that was not meant for someone with your physical abilities, you were on your own. That was my experience getting into Nigerian law school. So I was lucky to live in the law school hostel, and luckily we had a bus that took us to and fro school. Lucky that I went to Nigerian law school with some of my friends from college, which made it a little bit easier, but also had to learn, socializing with new sets of people, people that didn't know you from before, people that did not know what your abilities at this time still are. Once again, you had to do the proving. Surprisingly, that it was in Nigerian law school that I met my husband, Tony Hiro. So it's amazing that it was at that stage that that connection happened. I think he talks, when I talk to him now, he mentions how he used to look at me in Nigerian law school then and wonder how I managed. And he was so full of admiration and also full of compassion. I would, just kind thoughts. How can, if this person can go through this trouble to come to class every day, who shouldn't? And then it was at that level that we struck the friendship that led us to marriage 30-something years. Well, we've been friends for 35 years, but we've been married for 30 years. So it was that experience in law school that led us there. And in law school, same thing, mature enough to know life is done on your lane. You don't force anyone. You keep doing you. You give yourself the skills to know what is best for you, and you keep going. So no need trying to force anything down anybody's throat. Nobody owes you anything. People have their right to their reservation. They have their right to accept you. They have their right to reject you. They have their right to welcome you into their fold. Know that there's no amount of laws or advocacy that will force someone to accept who they do not want to accept. And one thing that I know can make that change is advocacy. Letting people know that people that are not like you can do great things. That you don't judge a book by its cover. You don't just see people 1 minute and decide, because they are limited in this way, they will be limited in every other way. That is what I live my entire life changing. That is what I teach people. Never judge a book by its cover. You never know what abilities the next person can have. Do not decide how someone is conditioned by the way they look. Give them a chance. That's all. And if they don't want to give a chance, you keep going. Go to the next person and the next and the next. But no matter what you meet in life, do not let go of your dreams. Keep believing in your dreams, on your lane. Keep working on them. Keep developing strength. Keep conditioning your strength. Keep going. You can accomplish anything that you want to. Now, as we draw close, what are the lessons that I want to leave with you? We are all different in life. No one is forced to accept the next person. Everyone has their right to decide who they want to socialize with, including you. You have your right. Nobody can stop you. So, when people do not originally accept you, do not get discouraged. Stay where you are. Believe in yourself. Keep going. Keep going. If tomorrow they notice and make room, fine. But do not take that room if it's not dignifying. I do not go anywhere that I'm not celebrated. I do not go anywhere that I'm not honored. I am very sensitive to those treatments. Once I do not sense it, once I do not feel it, I move away. Not in a bad way, not with animosity. No. I just stay on my lane and do me. There's enough room in the world to do you. Everybody can do themselves. Everyone, including you. Don't let anyone discourage you or stop you. Just don't force them to accept that you are who you are. Stay where you are. Keep working on yourself. If they get to the point where they want to accept you, so be it. I hope that in sharing these stories, I have encouraged you to believe that you can rise above every obstacle, no matter what they are, and be who God has promised you to, has promised that you will be. I know you can get there. Nothing is off the limit. Just figure out what can be possible and what you can do. Keep the goals simple initially and continue to add on them as you get better and better. That way, you do not get easily discouraged. That way, other people do not look at you and say, oh no, why did she bother trying? She knew that she did not have the abilities to do this. Why did she bother? Why didn't she just stay home? I think that's the worst thing anyone could have said to me at that time. So each time I put in the practice, I make sure that there will be no danger to me or to any other person with any of my adventures. And I thank God that till today, it has not been the case. I may not get full victory, but I keep going. Finally, have I succeeded? What do I call success? Looking back today, I would say that my life has been a huge success. Not because I have millions of dollars anywhere, but when I look at everything that I saw in that vision as a little girl, everything that I conjured in my dreams as that little girl have been accomplished. Today I enjoy most especially being the mother to our 4 sons. Every time that I look at them, I say, nothing to prove anymore. Game over. All has been proven. I pray that you get to that stage in your life someday. Until then, keep working on your dreams. Nothing is out of your league. All things are possible. I hope that my stories have encouraged you. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day. Let me know your comments. Let me know if you would like me to talk some more to you about how you can develop personal strength to accomplish your dreams. My name is Chichi Hero. You can follow me on my different pages on Facebook. I go by Chichi Hero. I also have my organization page, the Neighborhood Life Organization. I have another page called Overcoming with Chichi. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all the social media platforms. I wish you a good day. Stay safe and keep being the best you can. I love you.